Welcome back to Arise Prime Time. I'm Charles Aniagolu, and I have a guest commentator with me for the rest of the program who's going to give us his personal take on the news and issues of the day. And he is, of course, the policy strategist, Arise News analyst, and founder and executive director of Agora Policy, Waziri Adio. Thank you, Waziri, for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's start very quickly. I think because of the importance of it, let's start with the World Bank. We've just had the country director of the World Bank making some very sobering observations about this country. What is your assessment, and is anyone listening?
I think it's actually more sobering than he put it, because I've read the reports. I followed the presentation of the reports online yesterday, and I listened to different takes by people like El-Rufai, Obaseki, Mrs. Dr. Sarah Alade, and others. If you look at the reports, it's actually very sobering. It should give everyone a reason for pause. And in a way, it also reinforces some other reports, including the one by Agora Policy, about options for revamping the economy. But let me tell you the part that I found really, I was aware of it, but until I read it in the report, is that, anytime there's an increase in the price of oil, Nigeria experiences oil boom, except now. Since the 70s, high oil prices will always translate to better fortunes for the country, in terms of the revenue to the government, in terms of the external reserves, the start of the value of the currency. This time around, no. According to the report, between 2020 and 2022, the price of oil has gone up by 150%. Fiscal deficit has increased. The external reserve has reduced. The net revenue from oil has actually reduced. If we make, whatever money we make from oil, we get about 26% of that as the final revenue to government. The value of the currency has gone down, right? So that's something that it has never happened. Many bad things have happened to us in this country, but this has never happened, right? So that is something that, the other thing that I think is also very important to take away from the report is that as bad as it is, right, there's also enough in our history to show that when we put our hearts to it, when we consistently implement a package of reforms, right, we can also do better than we're doing.
Yeah, but has there actually ever been a time in history where there's been a consistent application of those reforms that you're talking
Absolutely.
about?
According to the report, in the early 2000s, right, you could see the external environment. Yes, yeah. the external environment was good, the same way it is now, right? But there were also policy consistencies and consistent implementation that made the difference. In fact, one of the lines I also saw in the report is that Nigeria is not looking like an oil exporting country now. We're actually looking like an oil importing country facing the headwinds from global energy crisis.
But what's the reason for that? Is it oil theft? Is it insecurity? Or what is it? Is it mismanagement?
There are so many reasons. The first thing, two things actually. The first one is that there's a massive drop, three reasons. Massive drop in oil production.
Right.
In fact, by September this year, our oil production went below 1,900,000 barrels per day. From as high as 2 million, 2.2 million, there was even a time we got all the way to 2.5 million. So that's about, there are many reasons responsible for that. Oil theft is one, underinvestment is another, high cost of production is another, insecurity is another. So there are many things, and that was why I said the other time that, sometimes we get fascinated with a single narrative. Or the only reason why the production is going down is because of oil theft. No, oil theft plus others, right? So that is one. The second thing is the petrol subsidy. Petrol subsidy is taking almost 80%
he talked about that, didn't he?
Of the revenue. But it's not just that, because you can actually remove petrol subsidy today. If you continue the way we allocate the little oil that we get as a government, as a country, and we allocate all of that to domestic consumption, we're still going to have a problem. Why? Because domestic consumption will come back as naira, not as dollars. So you can actually deregulate, right, and be selling your oil to locally for domestic consumption, but it will not translate to
yes, I see what you mean.
To foreign exchange.
Yes.
So your foreign reserve will not go up, your currency will be at risk, and your balance of payment will also be a problem. So the other thing is that non-oil revenue, though, is growing over time, but it's also not growing as much as it should.
The pace is too slow, right?
So
okay, we've got about 1:30 left.
Yeah.
Given what you've just analyzed, because I know some of this was also reflected in your Agora policy report, as well as the World Bank. I mean, these are two very well-respected reports. When you look at the political space now, as we go, the campaigns, as we go into the elections in 2023, it underscores how important it is to elect the right government, elect the right leadership. What do you see going forward? And we had the NNPP vice president earlier. Do you see the NNPP as potentially one of those who could have a transformative effect in the direction that you want to see this country go?
Okay, let me say this. I'm one of the people who say that it's not just a 3-horse race, it's not just a 4-horse race.
It's an 18-horse race.
Yeah, it's an 18-horse race.
Right.
And we shouldn't dismiss NNPP like that. I think, I align with the position that, we're open for surprises from them. Kwankwaso is a force of nature, so that is that. But if you look at the political space generally, I don't think, and I'm saying this as a policy person, and I've taken my time to listen to all of them, to read their manifestos and all of that. I don't think we have a deep appreciation of the extent of the problem. Apart from the usual, buck passing, blame gaming, blame game and all of that, that I've not seen exactly how people intend to solve some of these problems.
Right.
Beyond just with platitudes and just promises, and all of that. But I also understand that some of the things that need to be done.
Right. We've got about 10 seconds.
Yes, they are not things that would necessarily endear them to the voters.
Right.
So definitely, whoever wins, they have their job cut out for them, but they have to take painful choices, and they have to be ready to stand by those things and stay the course.
A sobering final thought from you there, and also sobering words from the country director of the World Bank earlier. Arise News analyst and founder and executive director of Agora Policy, Waziri Adio. Thank you very much indeed. That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again next week. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and Lagos, bye-bye and thank you for watching.